Hello, everybody, and
Hello.
welcome to a live recording of the Young Screenwriters Podcast. Today, we are going to be doing something super fun, and here in a few minutes, we are going to be doing another live story on the spot, story generation on the spot. So, Adam and I are going to attempt to take a newly released into the world public domain property, Steamboat Willie, and in an hour make a viable outline for a feature film. So, this is going to be a fun challenge. Um we'll get started here in about 3 minutes once we give folks time to come in, but yeah, I'm this is stoked. We kind of decided that we're going to do animated, right? We're going to keep it animated. We've not planned anything in advance, so we still have to figure out for sure like what's gonna happen. But animated, maybe horror because it's pretty freaky. Um, but yeah, it's gonna be fun. We really hope everybody will like comment their ideas for things so that we can pull them in as we go. But yeah,
Yeah, we're going to generate it from scratch for y'all. And I'm excited to see where this goes and what angles we can get out of it. Because, on one hand, it's a 7-minute short film where not a lot happens. So there's a lot of free reign to do whatever you want with the characters. Well, also, I mean, I think the challenge I'll take for us is that I want us to be true to the spirit of the source material.
mm,
I feel like that's important in adaptation, and I think we should try and like capture the feeling of it, even if we lean into a particular angle or not. Like I feel like the essence of the short should be retained in this adaptation. Let's try and aim for that.
I agree. I think that that should be fun. So when you say that, do you mean that you want it to be like a cheerful, like, full length thing, or you mean more like you wanna keep the
Well,
core
some
elements
I
and
I
play
think
with them?
I think keep the core elements, play with them, but also like if somebody was a fan of like any adaptation, like imagine if you're adapting a book or anything,
Mhm.
and you watched it, even if you take liberties in the source material, whatever, even if it goes in a different direction, you feel like, oh, the spirit and intention of this is somewhat there as well. Like, I don't want to do like one of those public domain things where like it's just totally ripping the character and just doing a slasher movie or something, right? Like, yeah, which it could be
Yeah.
fun. But I just think it's more challenging to be like, well, okay, how can we take this and like actually make a viable adaptation? Even
Yeah.
if like we pick a totally different story or like develop it in a way, there's not much you
So
have to make it a movie.
not just dropping Steamboat Willie in a situation where he's murdering people, but,
Sure,
like
exactly.
yeah.
Like I think we should embrace what is we know to be true about like what it happens in the film and move from there and develop it, right? Because there's a lot of questions. Like for example, on a they're on a journey. They're picking up livestock and animals along in the American South on this river, and they're doing their job. They're working, and Pete is kind of a shitty boss with who doesn't really respect Mickey. Mickey is kind of an unfulfilled musician who wants to play the song of his heart, but doesn't really have an opportunity to, but is stuck at work and eventually has to peel potatoes. Again, like it's kind of just the setup for a film. Like you almost say like the actual short film is kind of act one.
Yeah, that's true. Cool. So maybe that'll be what we do. And I just dropped the view will need version of the tentpole document that we are going to be filling
Awesome.
out. I will also pull it on the screen, so this is going to be fun. I'm gonna go ahead and play the intro music, and we'll get into it.
Let's go.
Let's do it. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Young Screenwriters Podcast. I'm Alexie, and I'm here today with Adam. And today we are doing a challenge where we are going to break slash outline a 1 hour feature based on a public domain IP that just came into the universe as something usable this year. Steamboat Willie. So that is our challenge. And in the next hour, we are going to figure out all the beats to make this into a feature length adaptation. So yeah, this is going to be fun. We've done this before, but never in an hour. So we'll see if we can
We
actually
gotta start moving fast.
we got to move quick. So, yeah, I guess to kind of give you a little bit of a sense of the framework that we're going to be using, we're using a tentpole document, which, if you're unfamiliar, is basically in between elements of story and a beat sheet. It's the core tentpoles of your movie. So, it's like the most important story elements that hold up the frame of your movie. A lot of times, once you figure these things out, you basically have your movie. Like you're basically good to go. So that is what we're trying to figure out today. And I'm excited to give it a shot. So we were just kind of we haven't planned anything ahead of time, but real quickly, Adam, do you want to give you were giving me like a quick overview of what the deal is with what's the deal with Steamboat Willie, the IP?
So the deal with Steamboat Willie, the IP, is that it's the original Disney animation that started Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse and a bunch of in the iconic Disney animation studios. And it is a 7-minute short film that features some cutting edge animation. It's one of the first it's the first piece of animation that actually had synced sound in the picture. So music and sound is kind of embedded into what the source material is. And I would also say that it's now public domain because there's a whole long story about how Disney has changed copyright laws in America, so Mickey Mouse wouldn't go, and their other IP wouldn't go public domain after a set period of time, and eventually the time has come and it has finally happened. So lots of fun uses of Mickey's character specific to this film, at least, you can take up. And by
Absolutely.
the way, we will get to questions at the end of this. So we'll do a Q&A at the end of this screening.
Absolutely. So loosely, the synopsis, which I'm going to pull up here of Steamboat Willie, the 7-minute short, is that Mickey is working on a steamboat. He has a boss, Pete, who's kind of a little bit of a hard ass, trying to order Mickey around. Mickey doesn't really want to do his job. They're going around picking up animals. Mickey's playing music on them and using them as instruments. And yeah, basically, he at some point he scoops up Minnie, who missed the boat, and it ends with him kind of peeling potatoes, right? Is that loosely how you remember it going, Adam?
I just rewatched it. So yes, that's exactly what happens.
So yeah, it ends with him peeling potatoes. So one of our parameters for trying to make a good adaptation that we mentioned is that we want to do something that is true to the material, but we're okay with taking it in another direction. And basically, what we mean by that is that there have been some adaptations recently that kind of take like childhood stories like Barney or Winnie the Pooh and make it like a grotesque like slasher, like where that character is just like a bad guy killing everyone. And while that can be fun, for this one, we want to try to keep in the world, even if we take it in a larger than life horror angle. And we said we want to keep it animation, right? So
Mhm.
that's one of our parameters. Cool. I guess everyone's going to hear me typing this whole time, but our parameter is we want to do animation and it's definitely set in this world. And one idea that you mentioned, Adam, was that potentially the short is act one. Like loosely, the short is act one. And one idea that I had, because I love me a strong female protagonist, is that Minnie could be the protagonist, which would be making up a lot. She doesn't do much. She just kind of gets scooped up. So we'll
Sure. I
see.
mean, I think you can make it about them, right? Like what is I will say that Mickey is in the majority of the screen time. So that is kind of a big change to like sort of cut him out of the story
Yeah.
altogether. But you know, we should definitely feature every character in an important way and sort of ask, like, my point of view in this is like, let's like imagine that this is beloved source material and that some kid would not be disappointed by seeing the film adaptation of the thing that they saw, right? Like that's kind of a good challenge.
Cool. All right, let's do it.
So
So
let's come up with a log line.
cool.
This is one I just sort of threw out, just came together out of the top of my head. We can sort of take elements of this and sort of throw them around. When a down on his luck musician gets a job on a criminal steamboat, he must assemble an unconventional band under the nose of his music-hating boss Pete, so he could play a life-changing music festival. Right. So
Okay.
like the idea in this is that he's playing music constantly, right? So I was thought, oh, he should be a musician, right? And he's also the vast majority of the time playing with the animals' bodies to create music because he doesn't have outside of his voice. You know, he's playing the famous folk song "Turkey in the Straw" and he's whistling the song "Steamboat Willie." So those two songs we should definitely consider as thematically important. But I had the idea of like, well, this is a journey film, right? They're on the boat, they're journeying. He's trying to make music. Pete is a natural antagonist because he's a cat who is trying to get Mickey to not play with the animal's body. So right there you have conflict, you have a story. And I thought it was like, well, what's a fun way where we could actually create these characters of the animals and flesh them out? You can make them different members of the band. And if you're like embracing like the 1920s sort of vibe, you could have like a band of like swing musicians in the early 20s or whatever, you know. And I like the idea that Minnie could be the singer, and I don't know what their relationship would be. That could be a fun thing to explore. But what do you think about that? Like he gets a job because he needs the money, and sort of gets this idea to like use the animals to play a big show at the end of the steamboat.
I like
Possibly, like you imagine that there's a scene where like he steals all the cargo, right? Because the animals are cargo. Because this is a weird world where like I mean I'm curious what you think. So animals are human proxies, but also the animals are animals. Like there's a cat in this, but Pete is also a cat.
Yeah. It's sort of like, I don't know, it reminds me of Pokemon, like where it's like, no, 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 like these are the Pokemon that we play, like that we fight and that we love, but then also they like low key eat them too. So it's like it's sort of that dynamic where like some of them have been oh we know we lost Adam for a second, where some of them have been anthropomorphized anthropomorphized.
That's
I
right.
don't Cool. But so Adam, you said when a down on his luck musician gets a job on a criminal steamboat.
I just threw in criminal because Pete looks like a
Yeah.
criminal. I don't know.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah,
And then what was the next part? His boss what?
he must assemble an unconventional band under the nose of his music-hating boss, so he could play a life-changing music festival. That's kind of rough, but it has the fundamental down on luck musician protagonist gets a job on a criminal steamboat, inciting incident, must assemble an unconventional band on the nose of his music-hating boss. That's the objective and the antagonistic force that are pushing against each other. And so he can play the life-changing music festival. That's kind of a weak play at the stakes. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. So cool. Let's roll with this then. We can start plugging in what we know and then figure out stuff from here. But this is a
So
fun
I have a
place to
question.
start. Mm-hmm.
I have a question. So I think we got to develop Mickey and Minnie's sort of dynamic and relationship. Um, do they have history before this, or do they meet in this movie?
I think it's interesting if they have history, it's like ancient history, right?
Mm,
Like he
I like
hasn't
that.
seen her in a while and maybe she's with Pete, right? Like
I like that. I like that. She's
yeah.
with Pete. Oh, okay. Maybe she gets him the job. They used to have a band together back when they were together,
Mhm. A little
but
duo.
she's kind of left the music life to be a steamboat's wife, steamboat captain's wife, and he needs a job because he doesn't he you know things aren't going well for Mickey. Um, and his ex-girlfriend gets him a job with the steamboat. That's so humiliating. I love it.
On
I
a
love it.
steamboat. And then, yeah, so that would make, so Mickey would be our protagonist. He'd be the down on his luck musician. Um, we could jump down to friends and enemies and start just filling in who
Oh
people
yeah.
are.
So we got the parrot, we've got the pig, we've got the cow, we've got the cat, we've got I'm trying to remember.
Wasn't there a duck or something?
There was a goose or a duck of some kind.
Let's
It's
see.
like all these farm animals.
Mice.
Yeah, I didn't see any mice in it, but that would be interesting. So if there's a cat and then there's pizza cat, so we got to figure out that. But like overall, I wouldn't worry about it.
Cool.
Because the film does not worry about it, so we shall not worry about it either.
But I think obviously the antagonist is Pete, right?
Of course, he has to be.
Pete the cat owns the steamboat.
And let's give him a tragic backstory as the reason why he hates music, and he secretly has a song in his heart that Mickey and Minnie bring out, and he plays at their final show.
I like it. Tragic backstory with this that made him hate music.
Yeah. And so, which means that, like, if Minnie picked the practical life to become Steamboat Captain's wife, sorry, I'm having too much fun with this. She's like said no to music as well. Like she's chosen the practical future.
She's like, Mickey, you gotta get real. It's time to leave your dreams behind.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. I love this.
Is she? Who's the mentor? Is Minnie a mentor? I guess that would seem like she's not. If she's kind of being like,
yeah, we got to flesh Minnie
behind, Mickey.
Minnie's a false mentor in that particular moment in that situation.
Yeah.
But Minnie is like a false mentor. I think Minnie and Pete could be antagonists, right? Like in that way.
Yeah. He ends up with Pete in the end.
That's right. I think Mickey should end up alone because Minnie lived that like they should have a sweet relationship, but it shouldn't be like I'm back with you now because you figured this all out.
Yeah, that makes sense. So Minnie is kind of an antagonistic force, but Minnie is Mickey's ex-girlfriend and brandmate who chose a practical life on a steamboat with her new boyfriend, Pete.
I love it. And cool. Pete, I like the revelation that like Pete is actually good for her. He just needs to heal his trauma with music, and this should be like a really feel good film where joy is everywhere at the end, and the animals play music. The animals are playing music using each other's body. I don't know. We'll figure that out. But there's a disturbing aspect to this too.
Yes, but cool. So it seems like then the thing that we've been kind of playing with, a theme that we've been loosely playing with, is like music and like sharing, like how to share the music in your heart kind of a thing, right? Or like something like it's something about that, about like personal expression and music. And
I love the idea of using the classic Pixar approach of using like the grand passion, but like give it a flawed the flaw is the bad relationship with the grand passion. Like I like the idea that Mickey loves to party, maybe. Like he loves music, he loves to party, he's got like a big desire, but like maybe there's what's the selfish angle on that? Like how could what type of selfishness can his love of music create that hurts other people, that hurt Minnie and alienates people from him in his life? Like he could be like an egocentric control freak. Now, I'm gonna play the animal's body,
like you're a xylophone in my band starting now. Whether you
and only I can play, you can't play yourself.
Okay, so his passion or his flaw. So we're going with Pixar's understanding, which is instead of doing like a negative flaw, just to kind of summarize what that is, they have a passion. They have something that they are so passionate about that it destroys their life. And so you see that in Toy Story, where Woody wants to be Andy's favorite toy. It's not enough to be like a beloved toy. He wants to be the favorite to the point where it
Mm.
gets him and Buzz in a lot of problems when he like gets Buzz kicked out the window or whatever it is. Then the same thing is in um Inside Out, when Joy wants Riley to be happy at all costs, at all times, no room for sadness anywhere. Riley can only be happy. And, Finding Nemo, Merlin wants to protect his son so much that like he smothers him basically. So that's kind of the Pixar approach. So using that angle, we're thinking music career above all else, right?
But I think maybe like he loves to play so much that it needs to be his solo. It's all about his moment, right?
Yeah, so music is my passion. It's like
And like other people are other people in the band are a tool for me to express my song, right? Like he doesn't want other people, like he's got a vision and it's very selfish, but like he loves this music. He loves the feeling of playing with other people, but when they're playing his stuff.
Yeah. I like that. Also, this is a fun idea from Nathan, that at some point Minnie rats Mickey out.
I love that.
Ooh.
I love that.
A little sabotage, a little false mentor action, right?
Yeah, well, Minnie should definitely, every film everybody will have a change of heart, including Mickey. He'll play music for, like, for example, I think this particular flaw is about Mickey's playing for himself, and he needs to learn how to play for other people. Like he can't just use the pig as an instrument. He has to play with the pig. So everybody has kind of it's like a individualistic path to a collectivist path, right?
He has to let the pig play with himself.
This is I mean, listen, this is the source material. We have to embrace that's what this is about.
No, it is. That's what's up. So that means that, so when we talk about flaw, interneed, thematic question, that's all stuff that's really intrinsically connected. So the way that we kind of approach story, that I love to approach story, is that you have a thematic question that encompasses your entire film. And everybody has a different answer to that thematic question. Your protagonist's flaw is their initial answer to that thematic question, and it's a flawed answer, right? And then over the course of the movie, they learn, their flaw is tested, and they finally come out the other side having achieved and understood their inner need, which is a more which is a new answer to that thematic question. It doesn't have to be necessarily better. If it's not better, then we call them an anti-hero. But so in this case, what that means is that since we have this piece, we have flaw, music is my passion, and other people in the band are a tool for me to express my song. What question would that be answering?
Like,
what is music?
Question of like, well, no, I think it's like, do you live for yourself or for others? It's kind of a thing. Like, do you get joy? Like, do you express? You could make it about music. I think, like, do you play for yourself or for others? Pete's answer could be, I play for no one because I don't play, And Minnie sings for herself privately, possibly on the boat at night when everybody's asleep, and because she still has the song in her heart a little bit. And Mickey's like, I'm going to play for myself all the time. Got a vision. I'm going to place. My vision matters. He's a little dictator. Maybe.
So who do you play music for? Kind of a thing. Like,
something like that.
Who is your music for? And
I like that. Who is your music for? Because then it's a little more abstract, right? Like,
yeah. And so Mickey is like, my music is for me. And not only that, but your music is for me, because I will use you as my band member. And, like I will. So I'm going to write that out too. So my music is for me and your music is for me too.
That's right. I've heard I love that. That's really good.
And then, so that would mean
that's literally the short material. That's literally the short film, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And he pushes people away. He hurts them in order to make his music. He's a tortured artist. Classic.
So his inner need is the inverse of that, we
Mm-hmm.
need Mickey to learn rather than his music being for me, his music is for us, right?
Yeah. My music is for everyone, myself included.
Yeah. It's more of a healthy, like, shared experience, and he'll let other people get the credit and take the solo, Um,
Yeah. So in the beginning, he's the kind of guy who his whole entire song is solo after solo after solo, right? Like he's just a solo maniac. And then at the end, he might have his little time to shine, but so do the other band members in this Steamboat. Cool. And then so maybe it seems then, so okay. So back to kind of like the theory of how to make this tie into the thematic question. The Often your mentor, if they're a true mentor, not a false mentor, will hold the inner need of your protagonist. So they will be someone who will guide the protagonist towards the answer that they're going to eventually have, which would mean in this case, if he had a true mentor, it would be somebody who thought something closer or exactly my music is for everyone, myself included.
I
So,
think Minnie should be the mentor probably.
mhm,
I think that really makes sense. That's the classic approach, and I would give them more scenes together and could develop their relationship. Um, Minnie, I think, always knew that it's a collective experience. She always knew that that Mickey has to sing for others, and she
yeah,
leaves him in the past because he can't do that. Um,
yeah,
and say what you will about Pete, he works for everybody. You know,
that's true. Left Mickey because he was too selfish.
Pete's not selfish, but Pete is traumatized and
He's a
doesn't
s- he's a
doesn't have a
stick in the
song.
mud.
Yeah, he's a
Yeah.
stick in the mud.
Yeah, so Minnie is music is a collective experience. And maybe her approach is kind of more like, like you said, I like the idea that she decided ultimately that the best place for her music is kind of something personal. She doesn't want to do it on a stage. She wants to kind of sing it herself and, like maybe like riff with people. Like maybe we see her kind of like jamming
Yeah,
out with the other band members on the boat, just kind of like casually. And Mickey's like, "No, this is my band. Like, you will play my song. What are you doing?" Kind of a
that's
thing.
right.
So
That's right.
maybe she has the inner need that he's going to eventually get, but more like in a casual sphere. Whereas, well, we can
Although
keep
she should
Mickey.
definitely get a song at the end that's important.
Yes. Yeah.
So let's talk a bit about the objective stakes track for
Let's
Act
do it.
Two here. I think let's pick a plot line that. So let's just imagine that I like the idea of there's a show that Mickey wants to get a band together for,
Mm-hmm.
but I want like kind of a selfish reason for it too. Like, let's have it be like, maybe it's a music competition or something, and there's a big cash prize, and he wants it for himself, and or he needs it too. Maybe let's give Mickey crippling gambling debts.
Yes. He was a
Yeah.
party boy.
Yes, he's
He
a
got
party boy.
carried away. He,
Yeah.
like, rented equipment and broke it on stage. Like,
Yeah.
he did
Yeah.
lots of bad things, so he is in crippling debt.
Yes,
Okay.
and we could have in his normal world, he's let's have him like really just like couch surfing, like hand to mouth lifestyle. He's playing on the streets, but it's not going well. Kicked while he's down. And the debt collectors are coming for him. They're saying, Mickey, you don't give us our money by the end of the month, you're you're never going to be able to be on this side of the Mississippi again. Um,
Yep. The
and
the the fox the wolves are coming for
Oh
him.
yeah, yeah, the wolves are coming. I love that. I love that. The black market is yeah. Anyway, so we got the debtors are gonna come for him, and he's like, I gotta get out of town, and I gotta get the money if I'm ever gonna come back, right?
Oh, wait, no, they're
Um,
sharks. They're loan sharks.
yeah, loan sharks. There we go.
Yeah.
Literally make them sharks. I love
Yeah.
that. Um, so so let's get so the normal world will like we got this problem. He's got these gambling debts, and also nobody wants to play with him.
Yeah.
He's trying to get a band to get everybody in town.
Maybe that's why he has to skip town, is because everyone is like, "You're a piece of garbage, Mickey. Like, you don't
Yeah,
pay your people. You walk
you
all
steal
over."
credit from them.
Yeah.
But like we also have to give him a real talent.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
he
he's
has a
super
gift for music, right? Like,
yeah.
and that has to make him like there has to be a part of this that's likable. Like that he does have the gift. He just doesn't have the ability to share it.
And it's truly his passion. Like, this means the world to him. And
Hmm.
we would probably see kind of like a redeeming moment in the beginning, like where we see like
Yes.
this is truly his love, and he doesn't understand why other people can't get on board with loving this as much as he does and like be at his level. So
Oh, we could have it be like we could have a scene where after the loan sharks and he's got like maybe he has a duo with um I don't know, an animal or something, another animal or something, and
his
like
girlfriend at
that.
the time.
Oh, and they are like, I can't do this, Mickey. I can't do this no more. I'm
Can't
can't
do
play
this
with
no
you,
more.
you
Can't,
know.
I can't play
and,
with you no more, Mickey.
and Mickey's playing by himself, and the loan sharks beat him up and give him like a, a deadline, and he then sort of maybe gets a fly. So the question is, do we want him to find out about the steamboat job, or do we want him to make Minnie him to have a chance encounter with Minnie? Maybe he sees Minnie getting
Yeah.
on the ship and then finds out about the job. But I don't want it to make it seem like Minnie's the objective. Like we need him
No.
to like,
I think he's using Minnie at first, right? Like
yeah,
she's
yeah.
nice and she kind of
He's
like
angry at her.
he's angry. She left him and she's having more success than he is. She's dating a rich guy who owns a steamboat. And, when he is with his other girlfriend, he gets humiliated. The loan sharks come up and like interrupt his set and like threaten him, and his girlfriend at the time leaves him, and he's like,
Hmm.
I gotta get this money now.
So that's
Um
the inciting incident. The uh, loan sharks come to give him an ultimatum.
yeah, loan sharks show up to Mickey's show, come to Mickey's show, and basically like probably hold up like everybody that like really humiliate him,
Oh
right?
yeah, yeah.
Eh,
Really add insult to injury. Really, really cruel and unusual. And have the song be beautiful, right? But like gets totally squashed.
So threatens his girlfriend probably. Well, it's like his fling. Not really a girlfriend, it's his fling, right?
Sure.
And everyone hates him.
I love
So
that.
he, there we go.
And the
So
response is, Mickey can try and like, I think he should go try playing like the inciting incident happens at like an actual legit gig, his last legit gig in town. That's like on favors,
yeah,
but like he loses that, and his response to he's gonna go play by himself in the street,
yeah,
possibly. And we should really add insult to injury and have people like really not respect him and have him have like a really low moment.
yeah. So maybe Mickey, like he has all this stuff happen to him, and he hasn't yet figured out how much everyone is done with him until
Hmm.
in that moment the loan sharks come up, take everyone's money, and it's kind of like, Mickey, you still owe us, and we're gonna come collect. And then Mickey is like, oh, that's okay. I'll call on all the people who I know because
Oh, I love that.
I've played with everyone in this town.
We could
Surely
have
they'll
like a
all
game of
rally.
telephone where we see everybody on screen, and they're all
Yeah.
like, give us,
Yeah.
they're all saying, Mickey's horrible. No, after last time,
Yeah.
I've retired because of you,
Yeah.
all three of my hooves are messed up forever, you know?
Screw you, Mickey. I
Yeah.
don't know where that voice is coming from, but that's my entire inspiration for this movie is
Yeah. I
whatever
love, we should have a lot
whatever
of,
that is.
it's great. The response should be, he calls up everyone he knows, and and everyone has like blacklisted him.
Yeah.
So he plays in the street and it goes horribly.
So he plays in the street, expects just the music alone to be enough.
Oh, and his guitar gets broken.
Yeah. And then the call to action would be that
He how do we want the moment of him finding out about the steamboat?
One version is that Minnie is actually nice, and she's the one person who will actually take his call, and is like,
Oh, she calls him back, maybe.
yeah, and she's like, look, you know, you screwed up, Mickey, but if you're really willing to work and maybe change, I can get you a job on my boyfriend's boat.
Yeah.
And
And
like
Mickey's so messed up, he needs to take it, right?
yeah,
Even though he hates it.
because like the loan sharks are like there, like they're like chasing him to the dock, and
Right.
he
But
needs.
Mickey's got to have an angle with this too. Like I want him to like have like he's going to try and take advantage of this, right? Like
Yeah,
maybe not the idea that, I'm going to use these people to make a band, but like I know he should pretty quickly try and get on that. Like maybe if he's like, oh, the ship in 2 weeks is going to land right at this music
in New
festival.
Orleans or something,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like, and I'm gonna go be a big star there, and like there's like Mardi Gras or
And
something.
if his thing
I
is,
don't
if I
know.
can get a
Yeah,
band together in time,
yeah,
I can really win with my big song,
yep, exactly. So okay, so
Steamboat Willie.
Steamboat Willie.
And I
So
like the idea that like Turkey in the Straw can be like a collectivist song, like a song that they like it's an old folk song, but it's like one that they all sort of play together. And maybe Mickey's thing is that he wanted to play one of his compositions, but he plays like that song as kind of like a crowd pleaser to like connect with
uh,
everybody. I don't know.
I like that. Oh wait, so what if Mickey's calling everyone? In that time, Minnie says, I can get you a job on my boyfriend's steamboat. And he's like, are you kidding me? Like, I am a musician. I'm not going to get a job on your stupid boyfriend's steamboat. And then everything goes to shit. So then he has to kind of swallow his pride and go back and get on the steamboat. So then we kind of have like a little bit of he resists it at first. Let's see. Here's some ideas that are coming in. Minnie doesn't know Mickey only takes the job because the boat is traveling to where the music
Love that.
competition is.
Love that.
Yes, he's not.
Love
He's
that.
like, I'll totally change. Meanwhile, I'm gonna use all of your livestock
Well, and
for
she
instruments.
needs to warn him about Pete. Pete's like, no, you can't play a lick of music on
Yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah. Pete. So maybe it's even like, when could we see that she offers him a job? Like, is it good in the response area that like everyone's blacklisted him?
Well, I think at the end of that, she's the last person who calls him back, and
Hmm.
she's the only person who gets back to him. And maybe like they meet up, and she's like, "Listen, I see things are really hard for you. I'm going to be kind and like give you this opportunity." And he sort of takes her up on it.
Okay, so only one person calls him back, his ex-girlfriend Minnie. She offers him work. What if he's like, let's make it worse. His ex-fiance, they were engaged.
I love it.
She offers him work
You
on
go
her.
and marry a cat.
Yeah, you gotta marry a cat. They eat us, Minnie.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, so she offers him work on her new boyfriend's steamboat, but warns him he can't play music.
That's a great Act One setup. We've already got the stakes of like you can't do the thing that you do. We know that he's like that's it's great, great timing as an act break.
So, and it's traveling to New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
So now his objective is like get to New Orleans with his band.
Get
Right?
get a killer band together that can win New Orleans in 2 weeks. I don't know. I'm just throwing 2 weeks arbitrarily. It could be any period of time.
That works. That
All right.
works. Get a
And
killer band together that can play New
is
Orleans in 2 weeks.
and motivation is I'm a star who's got to shine.
I'm a star, baby, and I got to pay off these loan sharks, or I got to
I've got a star and I've got to get paid, and I've got to pay off these loan sharks. Yeah.
All
I love it.
right. So there we go.
That's kind of Act One.
Yes, it is. So then now we know that Pete the cat owns a steamboat. He has a tragic backstory that makes him hate music, but he has a secret song in his heart. And but he's a hardworking dude, right?
He's an orphan who was abused at the orphanage by a bunch of musicians. I don't know, like he
When he
used
was
to
a kitten. Yeah. When he was
he
a
used to be a
kitten.
strong baritone. When he was a strong kitten, he used to be a baritone, and he got mocked and beaten for it. And I don't know.
What if he was like a little kitten and everyone thought that he was so amazing when he had his like little kitten soprano? But then as he
Mm,
went through puberty, his voice changed and everyone was like,
mocked
"Get
him.
out of
Yeah,
here, cat." And then he was turned out and no one liked hearing him sing anymore. And he vowed to never sing again.
I love it. I love it. We'll get to that. It'll be great. And so in this new world, we're no longer in the town. We're no longer in city life. We're on the steamboat life, where you go from port to port, picking up supplies, picking up livestock, making deals. And it's quiet. There is no music on the boat,
Yep.
and the other boats might have music, but like not theirs. And
Well, that's why he
Pete.
has to use the animals because there's no instruments on this allowed on
That's
this
right.
boat. So he he
Just use
learns.
their other voices. Yeah.
Yeah. So the new world is the steamboat,
Hmm.
musicless steamboat run by Pete.
Yes.
Mickey has a crappy job. He's like shoveling coal probably and
And peeling
and
tomatoes.
and peeling tomatoes. Is he supposed to steer the boat or is he just kind of like
I think
that's
he was he. I like the idea of like he only steers it when Pete is like away, but like he's
with
not like
Minnie?
first choice. Right. Well,
you know. So Mickey has to peel potatoes and shovel coal and only occasionally can steer the boat. Um and then he has to watch his ex-fiance be kind of like happy with Minnie, right?
and
Or
he hates it. He hates it. But like also Mickey isn't. This isn't a. I'm gonna try and get back my ex story. I think
he's just mad because he's like, I'm so much better than Pete,
that's
right?
right.
Like
That's right.
he's pissed about that, but it's not necessarily that it's all selfish. It's not about him loving Minnie. It's about him being
Definitely.
like, how could you? This is an insult to me. So he has to watch his ex-fiance be lovey with Pete and is pissed because he's obviously better. I'll say Mickey's obviously better. And then we have our cast here. We have Minnie, the ex-girlfriend or the ex-fiance and bandmate. Just so I have it in one spot, we have Pete as well, even though he's the antagonist. You don't have to write it again here, but he owns a steamboat, successful businessman, a little gruff, but a hard worker.
Hmm.
And then we have all these other characters here. And now, why don't we get our act breaks in? Like, why don't we figure
Yeah.
out what our midpoint and our ultimate test?
Okay. So if Mickey's goal is to get this band together in time for this festival,
Mm-hmm.
the midpoint is a change in the tactics of trying to get that band together. So maybe he's the first half of it. This is one approach.
Yep.
First half is he's trying to identify talent and holding secret auditions. And maybe the midpoint is I got a band. I got to get people. And then they're trying to, and the second half is they're trying to rehearse in secret before the final port.
Okay.
You only need to get one song together. That's all they need to get.
So like he has his first tactic is he needs to get a band together.
Yes.
All right.
And so it's like identifying talent discreetly. Like how do you, you're accidentally hitting the animal, the pig udders to make them make sounds. I don't know. We got to embrace the source material here. This
Secret
is
auditions. So how does it work if we want Minnie to kind of be his mentor and she kind of like sings to herself but Pete hates music? Do we see them kind of like have a conflict like where it's like
Oh, that's a good idea. Around the midpoint, he should hear me. Oh, at the midpoint, Pete doesn't find out that everybody on his ship is playing music. He just finds that Minnie is playing music. And when we first meet him on the ship at the beginning of Act 2, he needs to bust like a duck for singing. So we can
right
get the rules
get...
of the boat. So right at the top of Act 2, there's got to be a duck who is singing in the bathroom, and he like holds like a public thing, be like, "I'm good to you all, and
How
you earn
dare
your paychecks, but there's one rule on this ship. I don't care what you were quacking, can't be in harmony, you know, can't be a melody, you know."
Yep. You know, I don't want any chance to be too sing-songy, like nothing. I love it.
That's right.
So Pete busts a duck for singing and is so pissed. Tells everyone the one rule of his ship: no music. So that's happening. Mickey needs to get the band together. And then something that we were thinking about.
One thing is he could after that night he could be like, "So, Mr. Quackers, you've got a pretty nice set of pipes there. 3 a.m. Want to hear what you can do?"
Yeah.
Right? Like near the, you know, and they can hide near the engine at night, so like nobody can. I don't know.
I like that.
But that's just the first audition could be this duck who got busted for singing, and the duck is like, I don't know why I called him Mr. Quackers, but that's pretty
his
terrible.
Name now.
Yeah, okay.
Mickey recruits Mr. Quackers right after.
Earl Quackers. There we go.
Earl Quackers. There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. Earl Quackers.
And Minnie could have a secret song, but he doesn't find out about that yet. The midpoint could be that Pete busts Minnie for singing. And it causes problems in their relationship.
Okay.
And the Act 3 break could be when he finds out
oh no, we lost Adam. He'll come back. Here he is. We lost you right at the good part.
Oh, sorry. And Act 3 could be when he busts the whole band and crew for singing.
Okay.
Right? Because that could be lead into the all is lost moment. He could be like, "I'm going to fire you all if you don't. You know, we're in New Orleans, but you can't do this, you know."
So it'll be like, so at the midpoint, or honestly, maybe it should be flipped. So like if at the midpoint, he kind of learns that Mickey's been conspiring and Mickey doesn't really care, but at the ultimate test, because at the ultimate
why wouldn't he throw Mickey off the boat though? At the midpoint,
that's true.
You know?
That's true.
Because if at this point it's like Mickey is secretly doing, like, I think it goes from like the tactic shift goes from kind of learning who you guys are and filling it out to we're holding rehearsals every night at 3 a.m. that's the second half of Act 2, right? Like,
so the one thing I'm thinking about is the ultimate test, because this is typically in stories a place where the protagonist comes face to face with their objective and they choose wrong. So in this case, it would be Mickey on the cusp of playing in New Orleans with his band and choosing something crappy that like does not align with his perspective. And something that I see as being a potential thing is that at this point he's convinced. Maybe like I think it involves Minnie. And one version is that he's convinced Minnie to play with them. And then when Pete comes and Pete is pissed, Mickey's like, "Okay, take Minnie. I don't really care. I didn't need her anyway," kind of a thing. And then goes on without her is one version. And realizes that it's not like the whole band walks off with Minnie.
Oh, here's another aspect that could really add. It could also come out at this time to the whole band that Mickey was after a cash prize to pay off his debts.
Yeah.
So they could all be like, "You're just doing this for yourself."
So right as they're pulling into New Orleans and Mickey's like got on the docket, right? Like he's in the lineup.
Pete could be the one out him. He could have like the music festival info in his pocket and be like, "Do you all know what he's really doing?" You know?
So Mickey is outed. Pete tells the band that Mickey is only in this for the money. He doesn't care about any of them. He signed up as Mickey Mouse, not even and the band. Like
Oh yeah,
he
yeah.
like he's just Mickey Mouse. Nobody else is on there. All the promo stuff is all about him. And he's like, "Did you know this?" Like
It's like a
he's
poster that's just him, and like in really small print, and the Steamboat Willie band,
yeah,
like
exactly.
yeah,
He doesn't care
Mickey
about any.
Mouse, and right, it could be like, and he could have told them about the festival and how cool it is, but not have told them about the cash prize.
Yeah, so Mickey doesn't tell them about the cash prize. So we'll say here,
And his
Mickey.
initial defense could be like, well, why would you need to know?
Yeah,
I
why would
put
he?
this all together. I'm the one,
Yeah, he shouldn't think it's like he should have justified
no
it to
big
himself.
deal. Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
So he just says like it'll be a great opportunity to play together.
Mm-hmm.
Um so there we go. And then so my thinking there is that so then the all is lost would be the whole band ditches him
Yep.
and Minnie is like, "I'm so disappointed in you, Mickey."
I always knew you were
Like
a solo mouse.
I always knew you was a solo mouse. I'm having too much fun. Minnie is
Yeah.
so disappointed. Mickey has to go on alone and he bombs. Like he
Ooh,
can't
that's
do it.
interesting. Accelerating that. Okay. Okay.
So he's completely screwed. And maybe even the loan sharks, because he was so selfish and put his face on all the promotion material, the loan sharks have found him.
Okay.
Because
I like
he
it. Yeah.
like he promoted the F out of himself and now the loan sharks are like, "You idiot." Like, of course this is where Mickey is. You like got a skywriter to, like,
I
it's
love
like
that.
so the loan sharks find him. He promoted himself so much.
And maybe this is kind of where his face is in the mud, and he knows that the loan sharks are probably going to kill him, and he thinks back to that last week on the boat, all the musical ideas that everybody was putting together. It was really a collective effort. He's face down in the mud, his teeth missing. I don't know if that.
I
He
was
got
thinking like, yeah, he's like tied up. They're gonna like kill him, and he's like thinking about the old song that he sang with them, and somehow
and then
he
that movie ends, and that's it. No.
and that's it. He dies. He
Yeah,
dies with regret.
he dies, and they play as no. We gotta give him a character arc here. Um, I like the idea that maybe the parrot who hated him. I like the idea that the parrot laughs at him on the boat. We'll put that in, right, because that's in
Mhm.
the. He's like in cahoots. He's Pete's right hand bird, right, and we could have the parrot kind of be like cut him loose or something, being like, "I'll do it if you split the money with me" or something. Well, he
Yeah,
bombs the show. We want him to bomb the show. So, like, how do we want there to be? What's the final act push?
I think it's that. So he bombs. He could bomb the audition, and then it
Oh,
turns out
that maybe
maybe
the
Minnie.
mini
Sorry.
put. Sorry, the whoever we want put together the whole crew as a
Yeah.
band.
Yeah, and so they're gonna go on without Mickey, and it's called, like, the Steamboat Willie Band, like, it's not
No, I
named
don't think
after.
they shouldn't go on without Mickey. They it should have been because Mickey needs to be the one who we need to find a way for him to, in a selfish act, have agency in act 3 that gets them across the finish line, like what's something selfless that Mickey
A
could
selfless
do,
act.
right?
So, yeah, it's sorta like he realizes that he's screwed forever, and
Mm.
what if his issues is that the loan sharks now are like, "We'll take that steamboat." Like, like, what if it kinda, like, comes back and is worse now because of what Mickey's done? Um
Oh shit.
And so now Mickey's like, everything that I did is gonna screw over Minnie. Like Minnie is now like Minnie and Pete, who were good to me, are now screwed.
I love that. That's a great development. That's a great all is lost really pin. So his all or nothing is I've got to save them.
Yeah. He's like, and basically, like, they're like, we consider this debt paid in full. Like, he gives them, like, the keys to the steamboat or something in, like, a moment of selfishness. Like, he's like, or you know what I mean? Like, it's like, he, like, has this moment where they're like, the loan shark's like, okay, we'll take the steamboat and you're off the hook.
Well, I don't know if he gives them the keys, but it should definitely be like at midnight they'll come and collect the boat.
Yeah. And if he, like, leaves the door open or something, then, like,
That's right. They do a deal with him.
yeah.
And
So
the midpoint is can you scroll up?
we don't have a midpoint yet because we were
Oh,
still
we don't have
thinking.
midpoint. Yeah,
So
right.
what if we do? So it would be the ultimate test is Mickey's outed. He tells them blah blah blah. So we'd actually move up. The loan sharks find him, and the loan sharks find him because he promoted himself so much and cut a deal. If Mickey leaves open the door to the steamboat or whatever, like the control room,
That's right.
whatever it
That's
is,
right.
leaves the door to the steering room open, they'll take the boat and consider the debt paid. So then he at his all is lost, he's going on stage. He agrees. The band ditches him. Minnie's so disappointed. The wolves, the loan sharks take the steamboat.
I don't know if they take it. There should be the threat that they're going to. I feel like he should try and undo it.
Yeah. So, like, although if the steamboat was, like, taking off and he had to, like, somehow chase them down with the power of music.
But no, we got to have the
Yeah, you're
finale
right.
has
You're
to
right.
be the band comes
Yeah.
together and he solos Pete as a
Yeah.
singer. Maybe
So
because he believes in the song in his heart.
gives
Something he would have
Pete
never done in the beginning.
he gives Pete a solo.
He makes a Pete and Minnie duet. Oh shit.
Pete and Minnie
I don't know. That's
duet.
just an idea.
No, I
But like,
love that because
yeah.
it's like it's giving up two things. While he plays, like, supportive stuff, like he's doing, like, the rhythm guitar, right?
That's
Like
right.
he does harmonies or something else.
Yeah, and the catastrophic failure. Sorry, we're jumping around out of time.
So
Non-linear, everybody, but yeah.
let's go. So let's briefly explain kind of the Act 3 breakdown. So we start with the all is lost. So the ultimate test, our protagonist comes face to face with their objective in some way, and they choose wrong because they're not yet changed. So they come into Act 3 on a low, where it's just like the absolute lowest of the low. They're rock bottom. Nothing else could possibly go wrong. And in that low point, it's when they realize their flaw. They understand their flaw, and they also come to understand what they really need, their inner need. And so in that moment, they finally decide to change, and they have an all or nothing where they dig up the last bit of energy that they have and they charge for their goal one more time. And so then you get into the final fight, which is the sequence that's usually very tight. It's like 3 to 5 minutes usually, where right out the gate they have a catastrophic failure. It looks like everything they did is for nothing. They make a decisive action in the face of that failure. Even though this went wrong, they're still a changed person, and they take an action that commits to that change. And then they have an unexpected success. So that can be that they achieve the objective in some unique way we weren't anticipating, or it could be that they don't achieve the objective but achieve something greater, like an emotional victory. So that's kind of what we're trying to hash out now.
Just to coming off of this all is lost, I think a great all or nothing could be Mickey gets the band together to play as a collective, rebranding it as them and not him, and pitches it as like, this is the only way we can save Pete's boat. This is for your beloved music hating captain. We got to save him with music. Possibly.
I like it. So if it could be like the loan sharks will take the steamboat if Mickey doesn't win this contest, and then Mickey bombs, and then the loan sharks are going to take take the boat, and Mickey has to swallow his pride and be like, I could just walk away from this and let them take the steamboat, but I'm a changed mouse, and
Yes.
and I'm going to lead you all to victory, not for me but for you. So the loan sharks in the ultimate test, the loan sharks are going to find him because he promoted himself so much. They cut a deal. Mickey can either win the contest and give him the money, or if Mickey leaves the door to the steering room open, they'll take the boat and consider the debt paid. So why don't we actually move the reveal of Pete to the all is lost, right?
The reveal of Pete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't care about any of them. So there we go.
Love
Basically, right as he's going on stage at the all is lost, Mickey's outed. Pete tells the band that Mickey's only in this for the money, that he put up the steamboat as collateral.
Devastating.
What a jerk, Mickey. How do I spell collateral? That is not right, is it? No. Come on.
Spell check it. There you go.
Oh, that was right. All right. So the ultimate test is just the loan shark situation. All right. So then there we go. So that in that moment, his all is lost. Mickey has to go on alone and he bombs. He's crushed and he sees how much he hurt everyone, right?
Yep.
And then Mickey gets the band together to play as a collective, rebranding it as about them to save Pete's boat. We'll say in parentheses, he could have left and been done with it. And then the final fight is that what's the failure rate at the gate? It's just that maybe they're playing and maybe the only way that they got the band to agree to go on is if Mickey didn't get to do the solo. So it's just like this gaping hole in the act. Like where
it should be something it should be something surprising, like a mistake.
Yeah.
Or like something like, one of the loan sharks who really wants the boat, he like cuts the mic on some of the singers, maybe.
Yeah. Cuts Mickey's mic or something. So then he decides to he tells Pete and Minnie, you get to do it, kind of a thing. Right? Like, or
yeah, it's a Mickey pushes Pete onto stage or something.
Yeah, it's sort of so like what is maybe there's only one mic, Mickey gives it to them, kind of a thing. Like, what were you thinking?
No, it should be something unexpected. It should be like evil loan shark in the corner does something, and oh god, there's an awkward moment. It's messed up. We're performing. We don't have it, and Mickey throws something to Pete, and Pete has a moment, and he starts singing, and it all sort of works.
Okay, so
I don't know the logistics of it, but that's like the raw emotions.
Yeah, I like that. So the evil loan shark does something. So the evil loan shark cuts the music, and Mickey's voice can't carry, but Pete's new baritone can.
Pete.
Mickey sings all high, and then Pete has this booming operatic voice, and is just can completely sing in the room, completely take over. Cuts.
I love it. And in that moment, Pete is not just singing for his boat. He's not just singing for his woman. He's singing for himself.
Yeah. Mickey tells Pete, sing the song in your heart.
Everyone has a song in their heart, Pete. Even an old fucker like you. I'm just sorry. This movie's exactly R-rated, by the way.
Yeah, it's R-rated.
It would never get produced.
And then
Mickey goes to debtor's prison.
Yeah, Pete knocks it out of the park. Wins the contest. Is a superstar. Yeah. And then the resolution would probably be that Pete changes his boat into like a music
Yeah,
boat.
they're a showboat, and Mickey walks into the sunset, not a star, but with a new change of heart. He's got a new sense of music. He can't stay on
Um,
the boat with his ex-girlfriend and his.
Even if he's the driver who just gets to whistle while they all do music.
I don't think Mickey. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
So
Maybe they all sing together on the boat. That could be fun.
Mickey has a supporting role as whistler on the
Okay.
boat.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. That's the trying to give some tragedy to Mickey. You know. I don't
But
know.
Minnie stays with Pete because they're in love, and
Yeah,
they have half mouse, half cat children who
I
are
love it.
also on the boat.
Who really low voices.
Yes, half cat children. They're like a little like a singing like troupe, that's like all the little kids are singing, also sing on the boat. There we go.
We have to figure
Do
out
it.
the midpoint, and then we're done.
Yeah, so the midpoint is a change of tactics. I think that what you had probably works is that like Mickey is trying to figure out the band, and then at the midpoint, it also needs to be a setback though. At the
Well, no,
midpoint,
I think it should be Minnie's private singing is discovered, which creates a higher level of vigilance on the boat.
so does Mickey try to recruit Minnie because he remembers how good she is, and he's like pressuring her to
And
like
I think he should fail, but like him having a conversation with her about it is what kind of
the conversation
outs.
reminds her how much she likes music.
Yeah, and also like lets her lose her vigilance with the singing.
So at the midpoint is Pete catches Minnie singing.
And he chastises everyone because that's a personal betrayal. That's like how traumatic that is for me.
Like he like really like I would love the idea if he was just like a complete like he's like this like gruff guy, but he like uses like he's like I feel sad when
That's great.
like
That's
I
great.
feel hurt. Um
He's a good cat. He's a good cat. He's a good cat.
yeah. He's a good
He's got
cat
a tobacco problem, but nobody's
with a
perfect.
tobacco problem who's just traumatized.
And this is also the point I think where Mickey's got the band.
Yeah.
And they're excited for the show.
So then
but he's got to be extra vigilant about hiding it from
so the new world, which is the thing that changes after the midpoint, is Mickey has his band together, and they're all excited about the show, but now they have to be sneaky, and he's lying to them about the show.
That's right.
And they're all have to be extra sneaky to avoid Pete. And he's also lying about the cash prize. Cool.
Honestly, this works. Like this is viable.
So cool. Do we want to pitch it from the top? Adam, do you want to pitch it from the top?
I can't read it that closely because it's on my phone. But
okay. All right.
Sorry.
No, you're all good. So I think our it's not quite a criminal steamboat, so we'll take out criminal, but I think otherwise our log line is pretty close. So when a down on his luck musician gets a job on a steamboat, he must assemble an unconventional band under the nose of his music-hating boss to play in a not life-changing music festival, a life-saving music festival that will like save him from the loan sharks, right? Like in a music festival.
You just say that music festival that will save him from devastating debts or something.
There we go. In a music festival that will save him from devastating debts. All right. So our act 1, we meet Mickey. He's a down on his luck musician. He's a party boy. He is in crippling debt. He's like a couch surfing little mouse. He has a true passion for music. He's really, really good at it. But at this point in time, nobody in town will play with him anymore because he steamrolls them the whole way. He takes all the credit. He's kind of a dick. He's like a tortured artist who decides that he's more important than everyone else. He believes music is my passion and everyone else in my band is just a tool for me to use to express my song. And, it's my music is for me, and your music is for me too. It's all for me. So that's kind of his situation. The mentor in his life is Minnie. This is his ex fiance who left him because of his selfish tendencies. And she has this belief that music is a collective experience. And since they broke up, she's not as passionate about music in a career way, but it's still part of her life and it's still important to her. So when we meet Mickey, he's playing his last legit gig in town, and these loan sharks show up and really humiliate him. They take everyone's money. They're threatening the fling that he's having with this hot dog. And and they just take his money. Everyone hates him. He's absolutely humiliated. And the loan sharks are like, if you do not pay us back in 2 weeks, like basically we'll kill you. Like you're done, Mickey. At first, Mickey is like, you know what? It's not a problem. I know everybody in this town. So he starts calling up all of his contacts, going door to door, and everyone has blacklisted him. Everyone slams the door in his face. They're like, Mickey, you're an asshole. Like, get out of here. And, so he ends up just playing on the street, desperate to get any kind of change. He thinks that he's good enough, that should be enough to attract an audience, but somebody smashes his guitar. He's completely alone. As he's at his lowest, only one person ends up calling him back, and it is his ex-fiancée, Minnie. She says, if you promise that you'll change and not be a dick, you can come work on my new boyfriend's steamboat. We're traveling down the Mississippi to New Orleans, but you have to know my boyfriend Pete hates music. He absolutely hates music, and no music will be tolerated. So Mickey realizes that there's going to be a huge music festival in New Orleans with a cash prize. And he decides, you know what? I'm going to get on that boat. His objective is I'm going to get a killer band together as I travel on the steamboat down to New Orleans. And I'm going to win that music festival in 2 weeks. Because, I'm a star, baby. And also I got to pay off these loan sharks. So then we move into Act 2. So we're on a musicless steamboat run by Pete the cat, who is his ex-fiance's new boyfriend. Mickey has to peel potatoes, shovel coal, and only occasionally gets to steal the boat. And he has to watch Minnie be all lovey-dovey with Pete. And he hates this, not because he's in love with Minnie, but because he's like, how are you with someone who's so much worse than me? Like, he takes this so personally. Pete, he owns the steamboat. He's a really hardworking, gruff guy with a tragic backstory. When he was a little kitten, he had a beautiful soprano, beautiful singing voice. All the people in the neighborhood liked him. But then he went through kitty puberty and his voice changed and everybody kicked him out. They didn't want to hear his screeching anymore. And he vowed to never sing again. But he secretly has a song in his heart. But, for in the meantime, music is extremely triggering to him. He hates it because of this experience. So we're on the boat. We have a whole cast of characters. We meet Earl Quackers, who's an old duck. We meet a parrot who's in cahoots with Pete and is always laughing at Mickey. There's a pig, there's a cow, there's other cats. Basically, right out the gate, they're on the steamboat. The duck, Earl Quackers, is singing a song and Pete busts him. And this is a huge freaking deal. He rallies the whole ship and is yelling at everyone, says, I only have one rule on this ship, and it is no music. You get to do whatever you want and I pay you, but there is no music, and I'm going to take this really, really seriously. So that night, naturally, Mickey recruits Earl Quackers. He's like, you know what? You should be in my band. And so he starts conspiring to slowly figure out who's the talent on this crew and host secret auditions and put a band together while kind of dodging Pete the cat and, using the sound of the engine to cover everything up. Later into the beginning of Act 2, Mickey tries to recruit Minnie. Back in the day, Minnie was a really great singer. They did a lot of duets together. And he really wants her to be in the band because she would elevate the whole thing. He fails to recruit her because she's like, I'm in love with Pete. He has this one rule. I'm going to respect it. Like, Mickey, you're doing your thing. Don't be selfish. You said you wouldn't. And Mickey is disappointed and kind of pissed. But this conversation also reminds Minnie how much she likes music, how much she likes singing just for herself. And she ends up kind of losing her vigilance to not sing around Pete and ends up like humming to herself. And it's very beautiful. Well, at our midpoint, Pete catches Minnie singing and he yells at everyone on this boat about how much of a betrayal this is. You know what? And he's a good cat with a tobacco problem who's really traumatized by his past. He's doing his best out here in this world. He's just doing his best. And he's like, I feel betrayed when you all do the one thing I ask you not to do on my own boat. And everyone is, on high alert now. So now we're in this new world where Mickey has had his band together. We're all excited about the New Orleans show, but Pete is on super alert looking for anyone singing music. So they have to be extra careful. And at this point, Mickey has told the band about the New Orleans show, but has not revealed the fact that there is a cash prize. He's pretending like this isn't the case. So now we move into the stage where he's practicing with the band and trying to get the song together, and we start seeing kind of like more of his like tortured artist monster and control side come out. And he, they're getting down the river, they're approaching New Orleans, and right as they arrive in New Orleans, Mickey has promoted himself so much. He has put out like flyers like, this is the Mickey show, I'm going to be here doing this, blah blah blah. He's put out so much notice about this show that the loan sharks he was running from find him no problem. So these loan sharks find him, and in an alley they say they cut him a deal. Mickey's like, I'm going to get you your money because I'm going to win this contest. And they're like, if you don't, then you have to leave the door open on the steamboat so we can take that. So we're going to use the steamboat as collateral. So you can either win this show and give us the money, or we'll take the steamboat that you're on, Pete's steamboat. And Mickey says, okay, all right, that I will do that. We're breaking into Act 3, and right as Mickey is about to go on stage, Pete outs him. He tells the band Mickey is only in this for the money, that Mickey has put their steamboat up, their livelihood up as collateral for these loan sharks. It's his own personal deal. He doesn't care about any of them. Look how you're not in any of the promotional materials. This has been about Mickey. It's always been about Mickey. It always will be about Mickey. You all are just nothing to him. And the band at the last minute ditches him right at the audition. And Minnie is so disappointed. She's like, you're just not the mouse I thought you was. And it's so sad. And Mickey goes to the audition alone. He still thinks he's good enough. He's like, you know what? Screw these people. He goes and he bombs. He doesn't make it into the show. So he's completely crushed. He's alone. He realizes how much he's hurt everyone in this low point where, now he's definitely not going to win the show. They're going to take the steamboat. He's hurt Minnie. He's hurt Pete. He's hurt the whole band. And he realizes that he was a dick. So in a last bid to try to save the steamboat, he could disappear into the sunset and just let them take the steamboat and be done with this whole chapter of his life. He instead decides to get the band together to play as a collective. And he's going to rebrand it to be about them, not him, to save Pete's boat. So we break into the final fight, where right as the band goes on stage for their show, an evil loan shark cuts Mickey's mic, and he's too squeaky for anyone to hear. Mickey turns to Pete and says, Pete, sing the song in your heart. And Minnie and Pete do a beautiful duet where we get to hear Pete's mature baritone booming bass singing, and it's absolutely beautiful. And Mickey just does harmonies or plays rhythm guitar or whatever to support them as best he can. And Minnie and Pete absolutely knock it out of the park. They win this contest, and everyone freaking loves Pete. they get the money and they choose to pay off Mickey's debt with it as a thank you. So now we move into our resolution and we see we're back on the steamboat, but now it is a touring showboat. Mickey is the whistler in residence. He's steering the steamboat, and everybody's playing music on the boat all the time. Minnie and Pete are in love. They're married. They have a bunch of little half mouse, half cat children running around who also sing on the boat, and they ride off into the sunset. And that is the end of our adaptation.
That was really good for we went over a little hour, but like for like an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah,
that's not bad. That's a viable adaptation of that 7-minute short film.
You know what? It works. It works.
I kind of want to see it. I would love to see it in black and white with like the same like art style and like music from that time period. Like that would be such a cool film. I would really be into that.
And I will voice the entire thing.
And the good news is we have the rights. We just need the money.
Yeah, we just need the money. So if you have that, then just like let us know. So so cool. So something that I wanted to say before we kind of hop off is that this tentpole document and kind of the format that we used to work through this story and break this story so quickly is part of our writing the feature course, which is basically it was my NYU professor John Warren's advanced year-long screenwriting course at NYU Tisch, where Adam and I got to ask him tons of questions about his process and really put it into like a step by step formula to help people write their script from scratch. So going from a concept like we did today, doing log lines, figuring out the basic beats, and then figuring out your story beat by beat so that you can get through and have a tentpole document. And, you know, by now it is pretty clear that, you know, hopefully you all can see that like what we came up with, it's not a full script yet. It's not a full screenplay yet, but it's pretty close. Like you could take this and now you would start making scenes out of it. You would start putting scenes onto note cards and putting them on your wall or whatever. And you could make a movie from here. And so that's really what the course is about. It's helping you get there step by step. And right now we're doing a little promotion from April 5th to April 15th, where if you use the code SPRING24, you can get 25% off of that course. And yeah, so if you want to check that out, we have a link that has the code already in it in the description. And then also on April 8th at 5:30, what day of the week is that? Is that a Monday or is that a Tuesday? I think it's Monday. Something like that. Adam and I are both going live on YouTube again to kind of talk more about the course, do some like behind the scenes, and also share details about our other course, which is writing the pilot, which takes a similar approach, but for writing series and writing your pilot. So yeah, we're really excited to share these with everyone, and we hope that, you know, if this approach interests you, that you'll check it out, and we'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. But thank you so much for joining us today and sticking with us as we figured out the story of Steamboat Willie. And let us know if you have another story on this spot you'd like us to break down. This is a fun challenge that we want to do every now and then to try to break a movie in an hour and see what we can come up with. We used to do it a lot. This is our shortest one so far. So yeah, let us know. Thank you so much,
we're gonna
everyone.
do a Q&A in a second too.
Yep. So we're going to play our outro and then we'll do a Q&A. We'll see you next time. Okay, we are now in the Q&A section. So we can chat about whatever. In case you were wondering, that music was made by Adam. Adam is Mickey. Our outro music.
I was just thinking we should update that sometime for the new year.
You always think it's not good enough. Like
it's not that it's not good enough. I'm just like, sick of it. That's really.
Oh my God!
I get sick of it so easily.
Everyone loves it. I love it.
ready for something more depressing. I don't know.
A little
But
lower key.
going up to the beginning of this thread, we had a question. I just subscribed to the channel and currently writing my first screenplay in the horror genre. Have either one of you written a screenplay in the horror genre? And if so, what advice would you give? I have written a screenplay in the horror genre. And I know, Alexie, you have a project that's currently kind of a horror.
Yeah.
I would say I have a lot of opinions about this, but the one thing I would say that's like unique to the genre is you want to make sure that your film is like tapping into like a single like core universal human fear. Whether that's like, you know, in a zombie film, what is the core fear that's not just, oh, you get killed or you physical harm to yourself. It's seeing someone you know become unrecognizable. Right? That's one version of that. Like, but if you did a zombie film that really like focused on that, like I think Train to Busan, the thing that's scariest about that zombie film is that it's about seeing someone you know and love become unrecognizable and become a killing, mindless creature, right? Like that act of transformation is what is scary about that particular film. And I would ask yourself, what is the thing that is actually frightening about this on like a deep psychological level and not just surface level, ooh, monster kill me, I'm so scared.
That should be the next one that we write.
Ooh,
Ooh, monster care me.
I'm so scared.
Yeah, that'll be the next one that we break down. We were actually considering doing Steamboat Willie as a horror because that's kind of like the trend these days with these. But I'm glad that we kept it a little bit more close to the heart of the original. But it would have been fun to try to write it as a horror. And I think that the way you kind of do it is, you know, if we were going to go that approach, we probably would have leaned into what was grotesque and terrifying about this world already, right? Which is like Mickey using these animals as instruments for his own music, like for like his own singing pleasure or music pleasure. And so in a similar way, it's like that would have been the unique psychological terrifying thing. It's like, what if somebody used you as an instrument? Like this crazy mouse on a steamboat rolls into town and takes people to use as, or takes animals to use as instruments. Very, you know, so I think, yeah, choosing kind of the one psychological thing is helpful. And then, you know what, I would say that something else that I've picked up about horrors is that, I mean, this is true for everything, but the more you care about your characters, the more you care about the protagonists, the scarier stuff is, right? Like sometimes we kind of get a bunch of throwaway characters, and there's definitely room for that in horror, like where it's just kind of like a slasher where you have a bunch of college kids and they're all going to get killed off one by one. But in the kinds of horror that really like stick with people, you really end up caring about these characters in some kind of way. Like you don't want them to die. Like you're like bummed when they die or when something happens to them. So I think it's kind of a combo of, you know, figuring out what is the idea that's terrifying when you say it plain, right? Which is like, you know, what Adam was saying, like what happens when someone becomes unrecognizable, or like what if your house is invaded by a force that you can't even see and is terrorizing you, like, which is like a lot of like poltergeist stuff. And then making us care about the people who this is happening to. I think that's kind of the secret sauce for horrors that stick with us. Did we have any other? So Joanne said, where's the midpoint? That might have been specifically about Mickey, but just to kind of touch on that, the midpoint happens halfway through Act 2. So it isn't exactly 50% of your movie. It's 50% of Act 2. So it happens, typically it will happen a little bit after halfway through your movie. So in like
like
60%. If you have like a 100 script, something like that, you're seeing it around page 60, 65. So a little past the halfway point is typically where that is. Did we have any more questions?
I think it was just a lot of engagement on the Steamboat Willie adaptation.
People are just that Steamboat Willie. That's what I've learned, is that we all love us some Steamboat Willie.
I didn't know I loved it until we did this. I was very ambivalent to it. I was like, yeah, I saw it ages ago. There's not much story, but like, I'm like, I'd watch this movie, honestly. Like,
I'd watch it. And Sylvester said, "Are Mickey and Minnie Italian?" I think it's because I was going like this while I was talking about it.
I feel there's something there.
There's something there. I feel like they have like the transatlantic accent, though. You know, like the classic. I think that's what I was trying to do. You don't love me anymore, Mickey.
That's Italian. That's a bad Italian.
Yeah, that wasn't trying to be Italian.
Yeah.
That's like my attempt at transatlantic. But I think I don't know what
like,
it is.
The fun of this movie, if it was to be made, would really be leaning into like the era and like the fun mobster movie like archetypes, like the loan sharks chasing him and him being a deadbeat, and like, you know, like I think it could be really fun as a modern animation.
Yeah, I agree. And
no
you know,
one will make it though.
So it looks like in 1928, Roy O. Disney's personal notes said that this film had a budget of $4,900.
That's a lot of money back then.
It is, but imagine if it was today. Disney was only paid $500 a week for it, which is $9,000 a week into 2024. So that's actually pretty good.
That's great money.
So never mind. He was doing perfectly fine. He was fine. But yeah, if you want to check out the Wikipedia, which you should, there's an entire section about the copyright status. So let's take this and run with it, Adam. Let's make this.
Let's pitch it. We got to find the money.
Yeah, find that money.
I mean, it is existing IP, I think everyone would be scared of Disney lawyers, even though it's public domain. Like, I think that is still something that would scare people.
Probably. I think it would probably terrify people. It looks like... Oh, wait, it says, although it was believed that only the black and white depiction of Mickey Mouse, which lacks the red shorts and gloves, would enter the public domain, it's been pointed out that a 1928 promotional poster for Mickey Mouse featured the character's red shorts and yellow gloves, putting those attributes in the public domain and available for anyone to use. We can get him his red shorts. I think it should be in black and white, though.
I think that's kind of the fun of this aesthetic. But yeah, and also it would protect you from Disney lawyers, an extra layer,
His shorts are blue, you just can't tell.
Although
it's in black and white.
Color films vastly outperform. I can't even think of an animated black and white film. I can't even think of it, like modern.
Modern? No.
Can't even think of one.
No, I can't either. I think like probably only like those shorts at the beginning of Pixar things, and even then they're usually color, or like have black and like are switched to black and white,
right?
To like mean something.
I'm sure there is, Sylvester. I just don't know. I don't.
Yeah, I don't. I would say nothing that is like in theater. Yeah, nothing that would play in a theater in Kentucky where I could see it. So
there used to be like weird like write things about like films that were like licensed in hotels and airplanes, like having to be in color for a period of time. Like, but that might be old information. I don't know if that's still true.
That's interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah,
but there we go. I think that those are all the questions for today. But yeah,
this was fun.
Yeah, if you're a producer out there in the world and you want us to or write this thing,
people would watch us out of curiosity. It would be easy to promote. I don't know.
Yeah, and
this is also a challenge to everybody. You can write with public domain stuff. And it has an existing IP that might make it more producible.
Let me see if I can find a list of everything that entered the public domain. Here you go. I will drop this in. This is a little link to Wikipedia of stuff that entered the public domain in 2024.
Yes, that's right, Sylvester. If somebody writes a screenplay with these exact beats,
we still couldn't do anything because it's just an expression of like it's just an idea, right?
No. We've written out a document. You've written out a template.
Okay.
That is technically copyrighted.
I'll say, "Oh my God, do you see this line where Minnie says, you don't love me anymore?" That was mine. That was mine first.
No, it's a long stretch, honestly. Yeah, I'm not. It's
Yeah.
a long stretch, but it also doesn't really matter. Thank you, everybody, for
Thank
joining
you.
us today.
All right, we will see you next week. Next week we have a guest coming on, Victoria Mail. We're going to talk about reverse engineering your own IP, which is really, really cool. Basically, it's really hard to get stuff made if it's completely original right now. That's just the state of production company, like the state of studios. What they want is stuff based on things that feel like they have more fans built in, that feel like they have an audience built in, so that they are taking less of a risk. And so what Victoria is going to talk about is how she wrote a script, and then in order to help it get more traction, ended up writing and getting published several short stories about it, like several short stories based on that idea, and then use that leverage to get new meetings with producers and stuff like that. So it's going to be a really fun conversation in a similar vein to this. So we hope that you will come back next week. All right. Thank you, everyone.